The computer? Go ahead.
It has said it's recording.
That's because it's on mute. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Welcome to the new year,
A brand new year.
2023. For those of you that have slept longer than you thought, this is the new year.
And our theme for this whole year is going to be, and we're introducing it today, God in me, as me, is me in 2023. Of course, the truth
Is me
is
23. I like that. That's good.
God is me, as me, is God in me, as me, is me. It's always true, but we can lose focus on that. So that's our title today. We're focusing on the God within, and so we'll begin with an opening prayer. So as we come together this morning in unity with each other, we recognize that there is but one source of life, one source of power, one source of love, and it is the all that is. It is what we call God, or universal energy, the creative energy of the universe, the universal power. And we know that we trust it to heal, to make whole situations. And we know that it is the power. And what we tend to forget is that it is in each one of us. So this very power that we depend upon is within us. And we use it. We use it whether we know we use it or not, by our thinking, by our statements, by our beliefs. So we choose this morning to be reminded that all power is within, all love is within, all knowledge is obtainable within. So we give thanks for this as we enter this new year and empower ourselves to have the year that we know is best for us. We release, and together we say,
And so it
and
is.
so it is.
Well done.
And so, as we start talking this morning with this idea that God is within us, I'm reminded that over this weekend and around Christmas, we just had a terrible time with, frankly, with Southwest Airlines canceling over 9,000 flights. And the reason was that they do not use the hub system that all the other airlines do. All the other airlines have a hub, and they have staff that they can call around that hub to come in and fly different planes when they come in.
They fly point to point.
Yeah,
So,
Southwest flies.
so the reason we're telling you this is because today we're going to take up a collection for Southwestern, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
We're going to take up a collection, but it will be for the
Oh,
Center for
okay,
Spiritual
okay,
Living
that's good.
at the Palm Beaches. So, and so, and their IT system, their internet system was not capable of communicating and getting the crews where they needed to be. So this is a reminder that this whole hub system is a great metaphor for humanity. We are each a member of a spoke, if you will, of a wheel. Each one, no one more important than the other. And the wheel, what might be the tire of a bicycle wheel, is our community, our people, our family, our connections that we depend on and need. And yet, the real power is in the, what do you call it?
The hub.
The hub, like we were
Right.
talking about for airplanes.
Actually, the metaphor I was thinking of when when you were sharing that was electric bicycles are now really becoming popular, and the motor for the bicycle is in the hub. So, and the hub
the center
is in the center.
the wheel.
That's where the power is. That is always where the power is, although it doesn't look like the power. And so, what we need to recognize is the power is in the hub, and the hub does not appear to be moving. The hub does not appear to be doing anything, and yet it is everything. It is at the center of everything. What we tend to get lost in, unfortunately, is where the tire meets the road, or where we meet conditions that are outside of us. And when we meet those conditions, what happens is we get wrapped up in those conditions, and we actually believe that our relationship is between the tire and the condition rather than the tire and the hub. And if we can follow that spoke back down to the hub or to the center of our own being, we then can get
Isn't it
centered.
back up?
Yeah, right,
Down.
Right. Well, we from the outer edge where we get stuck sometimes, return to that hub in
Or to the
meditation
center.
or to the center and say, there is only one power, and that power is God, and that power is in me, and that power is in me now. That power works through me. And when we do that, we then access where the energy is. On a bicycle, electric bicycle, the energy propels the wheel, but you can't see it doing that. And the spokes are all important. Sometimes some of the spokes can be bent. Some of the spokes are out of alignment. And so, and they eventually can be aligned, and they can be strengthened. And that's each of us as a spoke in that wheel that can be strengthened and aligned, and so that we have a better connection. But the big deal is not to think that who we are is the rubber meeting the road. Who we are is at the core, at the hub, and we express ourselves as we move up that hub to the outer world. We can always come back for more energy and for more nourishment because we are never far away from it. We are one with it.
Right.
It's a great metaphor.
So we go back to it. You know, we're not raised with this idea that we have the power. We're raised with the idea that there is an all-powerful God, and it's always up above.
Right, a hub
And
outside somewhere.
yeah, and outside of reality. And so we tend to give away our power all the time. And we wish and we hope, you know, that we get what we want in the next year. And what we're saying today is, let's let the wishing and hoping fall away and know that God in me, as me, in me, as me, is me, you know. And so we want to declare what we want to see in the new year with the power coming from within. So we let the wishing and the hoping fall away and declare this year, this new year, I experience whatever it is you want: peace, love, health, joy, a new book being published.
Sooner than later.
Whatever it is you want, declare it. I declare this is the year for me to experience this. And because you have the power of God in your intention. But more than that, it takes away that sense of striving, that like I've got to make it happen. One of my first teachers had a sign up in her office that I didn't even understand at first, but it's so funny. It was a picture of a carrot, and it said, "You never hear a carrot grunt." In other words, a carrot is not efforting to become a carrot, you know, a big carrot. It just naturally happens, you know.
Right. And it all happens underground.
Yes, all happens
Which
underground.
is the really big deal about the carrot, and most of our greatest growth happens underground. We don't see how much knowledge we have accumulated and the wisdom that we've accumulated until there's a demand for it. You know, so I can remember years ago when I graduated from college.
The master of metaphor, by the way. That was a great addition. Thank you.
Yeah. The years ago when I graduated from college, somebody who hadn't been to college said, "So what did you learn?" And I thought about it, and I couldn't think of a single thing. And I thought, I guess I didn't learn anything. And they said, "See, you shouldn't go to college." And then I realized I learned a lot, but it's only available on demand. And so the hub doesn't appear to offer anything until there's a demand. And as soon as there's a demand, the power is there. The trouble is when we don't go to the hub for the power, we go to the outer edges of it and ask, can you
help?
Yeah, as opposed to, the help is within first. What I need to be able to do is to connect that which is my center to that which is at the outer edges.
Yes.
As opposed to saying, well, it's all falling apart out here. Whenever you're out there and it's all falling apart, then it's time to come back to the center where things are calm and where the power really is. Mm-hmm. So do you have wisdom and knowledge and experience and connection? All of that. And do you have it in great abundance? Yes, you do. One of my favorite practitioners, from time to time, she'll say things like, I made a demand. I said, what do you mean a demand? She said, I demanded prosperity, or I demanded health. I said, how could you be so arrogant? How could you demand? And she said, I can demand because I'm making a demand on that which is me to produce that which has always been, to move it from the inner to the outer. I can demand that. I thought, wow, that's brilliant. And she's so right, because if we say, could I please have, if it would work for you, if it's not inconvenient, some good, that's not a demand, and it doesn't it doesn't have with it the understanding of connection. It's a hope.
Right. So when we go to that center, that hub, and make a demand, it is drawing that power out. Yesterday I was a little frazzled doing 10 things at once, and
So unusual for
finally,
you.
and I always think I have to make stuff happen, you
Yeah,
know, and I finally calmed down and said I need to plan, talk about our talk. And I have some wonderful quotes that I will share, but they just totally centered because I realized I don't have to do anything. I just have to go within and, find the calm, find the peace, find the power that is within me. And suddenly, it just, all the racing mind and adrenaline from I have to just totally disappeared. And I was, that's where the power is. The power is in the calmness. One of my first teachers, I've got to tell this story too. They had a little boy who played baseball, and when he would get upset, when he thought he wasn't performing or needed to perform, and so they had something they would shout out to him, and the phrase they wanted to remind him was, "Calmness is power." Calmness is power, but they couldn't shout that out with all these people around, so they shouted, "Call Mrs. Powers." So they'd call his name and say, "Call Mrs. Powers." And it would remind him to get calm, to get centered. That's why we say centered. I remember years ago I was on a plane flying to California, and the person next to me talked about, when I'm centered, such and such happens. And I thought, what is he talking about? What is a center? And I have some quotes that refer to that center. But it's the center we're talking about. Our heart center, the heart center that is connected to our God center. So may I share some quotes now?
Okay.
Look at this, Mark Nepo. I wonder where we got this idea. Mark Nepo is a wonderful new writer. He has a book called The Book of Awakening. And he says, imagine that each of us is a spoke in an infinite wheel. And though each spoke is essential in keeping the wheel whole, no two spokes are the same. The rim of that wheel is our community, family, and relationships. But the common hub where all spokes join is the one center where all souls meet. At that point of unity is the atom of God. So, Mark Nepo, thank you. That was the source of our talk there. And Eric Butterworth said, when you get centered in God in you, there is a natural rhythmic flow of the universe. This place of stillness allows you to know that God cannot be more present anywhere than is present everywhere. I like that. That was from his book, This Creative Life. And
You have one more?
Ernest Holmes. I've got to share Ernest Holmes. God is always God, no matter what the storm may be. There's always a something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings.
It sounds off the wall, but it actually is connected. I'm reminded of something that cats are capable of doing that many creatures aren't. If a cat falls from a tree or from a ledge or from anything, he has a built-in gyroscope, and that gyroscope tells him where he is in relationship to the fall, and he's able to turn himself around and land on his feet. And I think that we don't realize we have a built-in gyroscope called God, and that we were designed to be able to use that to fall on our feet, and that we should give less attention to the fall and more attention to the gyroscope and to the internal process that allows us. And I was thinking the same thing is true for cars. I like cars. I've always had them. And they have a suspension system. And the suspension system is designed to soften the conditions that are around us so that you don't feel all of them. They're not designed for us not to have any bumps. So the design of an automobile includes the understanding that there's going to be dirt roads. And I think often when I'm on a dirt road, I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? What's going on here? This can't happen. I'm not prepared for this. The truth is we have the spiritual suspension system that will allow us to suspend the suffering and the pain in knowledge that we are not that who we are inside, each of us is a power for good in the universe operating in and through us all the time.
Indeed. I have one more Butterworth quote I want to share.
Please.
When you turn within, centering your attention on God, the center and source of being, there will come a moment of faith's fruition, and that which you perceive inwardly, you will soon be seeing in the light of day. So he's talking about the manifestation process, that when we see it and we know the power is within, in time it manifests and we will see it. And that is really what our whole teaching is all about. And so this year, when we're thinking about what do we want to experience this year, we also need to be thinking, what do we want to create this year? What do we want to create? What experience do we want to create for ourselves? And know that it's us doing the creating. When you start with the what, not how. Don't ask how, don't ask when. You start with what. And then you know that all power is within. And you see it happening. You see it done. And when and then when you stop your prayer work, which is what this is, in time you will see it done. And so pick something that you really want to experience this year. It's better than something to have or get. It's the experience that you want. The experience of love, the experience of wholeness, the experience of peace, the experience of power, whatever it is you would like to experience. And think about naming your year with that experience.
I want to share one more short story. We were watching an MGM compilation of movies. They do this every now and then, and Gene Kelly dances to Singing in the Rain. And I thought about that after I watched him doing this. Of course, the inside or the behind-the-scenes story is he had a temperature of 104 when he was sick. When he was sick and had a temperature of 104 when he actually did that scene.
And he was splashing all in that water, and it was running down on his head.
So on the one hand, he's dancing in the rain, but if we look at the rain as the appearance of negativity, the appearance of conflict and struggle, that which assaults us and gets in our way and interferes with us, and then we look at the rain, or we look at the rain as something to celebrate because we're coming from within, from that source, from that hub of love. We can dance in the rain. He took the umbrella away. I don't need to be insulated from that. I don't need to be protected from that. I can dance with that. I can dance in that because I am not that. I'm not the rain. I'm not the suffering. I'm not the pain. And it was interesting that he did an exquisite job, as we do when we decide not to be upset about what rains on us, but to dance with it and to sing with it and to recognize it's a part of what happens in life that we were equipped for. He was actually equipped not to evaporate or to dissolve when the rain hit him. And so, but I think it's a great metaphor also for...
I was surprised with 104 fever, steam wasn't coming off
Yeah,
his
well,
face.
probably he was appreciative of all the cool water on him when he was so hot. But I thought, and I'm watching him tap dancing in the water, and I thought, if we could learn to tap dance in the water, we could learn to tap dance in conflict.
Yeah.
It would be so much better for us than what we often do. And so, anyway, it's a great reminder again of we can choose to stay indoors and wait for it to stop raining, and we often do that. Or we can say, this is maybe a time to dance in the rain. So
Good point. How we're doing here.
I think we're doing good.
So, in addition to naming your year, you might ask yourself, what gifts do I bring for this journey? Because it's not all from without,
Mm-hmm.
What gifts do I bring to make this experience possible?
And I'd like to suggest that one of the gifts you bring that you may not realize you bring is imagination. And be willing this year to be this to be the year of your imagination.
Right, because you can only experience what you can imagine.
Yeah.
What you can imagine.
And you can even play the song that the Beatles wrote, Imagine.
Indeed. And do you find any resistance within you when I ask you that question, what gifts do you bring?
Yeah.
Because we tend to base our future on our past.
Right.
And well, I've never experienced it before, or I've never been able to do that before. Forget about that. You have gifts. You may not have even demonstrated yet, but they're waiting for you to demonstrate.
So you might ask yourself, when you ask that question, what am I afraid of? And is the fear valid? And if the fear is a kind of undercurrent of fear is often an undercurrent of attention that you've gotten used to, you've even made friends with, it doesn't have any grounding. It doesn't need to be. So maybe you're afraid and there's nothing to be afraid of and you didn't realize you were afraid. And if you can get on top of that, of course, that frees you up.
Right. We had an experience this week when a practitioner called me for treatment. Now, our practitioners are very well trained in how to do spiritual mind treatment, which is what we call our affirmative prayer. And they're very well trained and know how to do it. But, you know, when you are when you're a fear for you or somebody else, all faith just sort of flies away. And that's why we have prayer partners and prayer practitioners. So all of our practitioners that are listed on our website,
And that includes us.
cslpalmbeaches.org, and that includes us, are eager to do prayer for you when you are in fear. So keep that in mind, because all of us as human beings, when we are afraid, you know, all sense of power can just fly out the window. And so that is when you call someone, because as Jesus said in the New Testament, when two or more are gathered in my name, which means in my nature, I am there also. So when you lose your faith, reach out for someone else's, because they can know it for you.
Yeah, if each of us is a finger on the hand of God, and this one is infected, this one can pray for this one.
Right.
It's the same hand. They're all connected. And that's really important.
Indeed. So, we look forward to hearing about your intentions for this year, what you see for yourself, want for yourself, and know for yourself. And so, let's end this with a prayer. Do you
Yeah.
want to do it?
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
Yeah, so, knowing as we do that we are all God expressing as living beings, each of us having an experience for and through and in God, we say thank you. We say thank you for this day. We say thank you for this opportunity to express all that we have and all that we are and all that we can be. And that we know today that we are opening the door to a future that is an adventure we said yes to and are saying yes to. And we say yes to the support, encouragement, and empowerment of a universe that is in favor of us, not against us. For this we are grateful, and we say thank you. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
So we're going to move now to the segment where we ask for some support.
Indeed, we are a center. We need support. We are a business that has all the expenses of businesses, and we appreciate your support and your donations. And so how you give is by going to our website, cslpalmbeaches.org, and there's ways to donate button. We may have to avoid PayPal for a while until we get something straightened out with them. What are you doing, honey?
I'm trying to make
the screen share. Screen share.
I tried to do that. It has to be smaller. Screen share. See, there's nothing on it.
Oh, well,
I got to make the screen smaller. Go ahead, just continue.
make the screenshots smaller there. Up in the upper left. There. Do the green. Hit the green button. Not that green button.
It's the green button. Okay, now I can do it.
And so, any rate, we know many of you, you're very generous with the people watching here today. We know that. We thank you. You're very generous and regular, and we appreciate that. And so, let's do our offertory affirmation here. Because as you give, you do receive. So it's an investment. Your giving is an investment in your own prosperity. My investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
Okay, so we're going to end the recording.
Right. So, there you go.